Hi, welcome to the director's cut of the hiking videos that I made this summer. I will be talking through some of the behind the scenes and other things that I didn't get to include in the video. Let's go. All right, so here's the first video that I created. It's not the first one that I ever published, but it is the first one that I made, and it's because I wasn't actually intending to start making videos. I just thought that I would take a time lapse of myself preparing all of that food and repackaging it into smaller Ziplocs for my hike. Then I sent that video to a couple of friends and said, look, I'm preparing for my hike. And I thought, oh, you know what? I probably could make a whole video showcasing all the prep that I did for this hike. And yeah, then I made this video. And then once I did that, I thought, oh, you know what? I probably should make an introduction video about who am I and what am I hiking this year. And that is sort of how the Who Stitches video got created. And then I made a gear video, and then I started doing a daily video. So here's I'm preparing to hike the Continental Divide Trail and the Great Divide. Seeing this, I just think I look so pale. So pale and young and fresh, but very proud, obviously. Trail combined. The biggest question I get is by far, what kind of food do you eat on trail? And the answer. So this is me in my garage where I'm standing now, actually, preparing all that food from the boxes that I received them in and putting them into Ziplocs. There's lots of chips, crackers, jerky, nut butter, bars, and electrolytes. I cold soak my... People always have questions about what I eat on trail. They always want to know. A lot of people think that I carry food for the entire trail the whole time, and this is probably something like 80 days of food. Can you imagine putting all of that in your pack? It's not possible. You'd have to carry a whole wagon behind you. But yeah, I'm packaging all of this into smaller packages, and then I'll get them shipped to me later on. Food, meaning I don't carry a stove to boil water, so this limits my... This is me testing different combinations of the couscous plus a carb mix to add some more calories to the food. And seeing how that tastes. You can see my little notebook with the measurements there. Kind of funny. Dinners to mashed potatoes, rice and beans, ramen, and couscous. I add tuna for protein, olive oil, and chips. I tried a lot of different combos to make recipes I can tolerate for weeks, and I spent 3 days decanting everything into plastic. I did not tolerate them for weeks. I mean, I was still eating them, but I really was struggling to get the food down by a certain point. I really struggle with eating that for that long. That's part of why I think I can't hike for more than a couple months at a time. Bags. This year I'm vacuum sealing my own. Oh, this is my almond butter. So normally I like to get little packages of almond butter and eat them. Really good fat source and high in calories for its weight. But the issue is it's expensive to do that. And so what I did is I got this giant 9-pound bucket essentially of almond butter, and then I'm repackaging it myself with a spoon into a little plastic bag that I then vacuum seal. Just got it off of the hated website Amazon. And I'm using carb mixes to boost my calories. This is carb mix that I was using. I tested so many different kinds of carb mixes. This is the one that I liked the best. It kind of has a slight sweet, lemony-ish taste, even the unflavored version, but I was putting that in my water, putting that in my food, sometimes as well, just to add a little bit of a boost of calories. I think that it's really difficult. You can see actually I have a soft flask. I'm wearing the backpack and I have a soft flask of the powder in my pocket there. Big, since it's hard to eat when you're breathing hard. I've prepped about 80 days worth of food, and the rest I'll be buying in towns along the way. My friend Jenna. This is Jenna. She did all my resupplying on this hike. So I had all of these food stuffs organized like this, like by snacks, and and then I would tell her this is kind of the formula for my each day. I probably need 6 snacks of this kind and 1 dinner like this, and yeah, that's how she packaged it all for me. We'll be shipping my supplies and throwing in some of her own homemade meal bars and dehydrated. So this is the stuff that Jenna made for me that's her own recipes. The meal bars were, I think, a big hit. They're savory, which is a really great thing because most bars are sweet. She also made some dehydrated dinners and some knockoffs of the types of bars that I was eating, just to give me a little bit more variety in the foods that I was eating. Dinners. This is 3.5 days worth of. So this is how I usually lay out my food when I want to just to gauge how much I have and if it's going to be enough for each day. So the way that I do it is I lay out the breakfast foods, and then I usually do one almond butter per day, and then I add like 6 to 7 snacks. I usually try to do like 3 bars and 3 to 4 savory things. I tend to prefer savory things on trail. I'm just always so tired of sweet things. And I think I need the savory because my body needs the salt and electrolytes. And then I do one dinner, and that dinner is usually like 600 to 800 calories. So I'll do like the base couscous or mashed potatoes or whatever it is that I'm eating, or rice and beans, and then I'll add protein, so the tuna, and another like salty, textury thing like a chip bag of chips, something like that. Then I usually add a little bit of sweet stuff and the electrolytes. You see those little tablets there, which are salt stick tablets, and then I add the carb mix as like a extra food for my first leg. To figure that out, I had to first research what towns. This is my resupply spreadsheet, and I make one of these for all of my hikes, but this one that I made was really intense because I had to really know exactly when I would probably get into each state to be on time for this hike, particularly because I really had to get to Canada on a very specific day in order to start the rest of my permits in Canada on time. And I don't like to spend a lot of time on my phone looking at like what is in the town. So I usually just try to write it all in the sheet, and then I can look at the sheet and say, okay, does this specific town in Montana have a laundromat that I can go to and use? Or do I need to book a room in order to get access to laundry? Which then I probably wouldn't do laundry in that town. Yeah. These are on the way, like is there a post office and a grocery store? For this trail, I even my cat, my friend's cat Marnie. I have my map of the different alternates in Wyoming pulled up, and she just loves following the cursor. It's super cute. At which alternates I might take. So this is me looking at the Wind River Range to try to figure out which of the different routes through the Wind River Range I wanted to take. I was looking at the Wind River High Route, and there's a couple of different versions of the High Route. It's not a trail, so you can follow whatever route makes sense for you. I was looking at the Adventure Island version versus the Andrew Skirker version, which is a little bit more challenging, and trying to gauge like, is the challenge worth the view on Google Earth? And I decided it was, so I ended up doing the Skirker version. Have an accurate idea of daily mileage, since timing is pretty critical for this link up. Logistically, combining the two trails was pretty hard. For the GDT, I had to book 8 campsites. Yeah, so the booking of campsites is probably the most challenging part of the GDT prep, or the prep for this hike, this combined hike overall. I think that's where I started my planning, is when do I need to be where for the campsites on the GDT? And the issue with it is not every single campsite needs to be booked, but because you need to book the campsites for these places, you need to know when you're going to be at the campsites before as well, to make sure you can get there on time for your permits. So the way that I did it was, and I think I explained it later on too, but I said I booked 3 different itineraries to make sure that I could hold the dates for the ones that I thought I might be able to get to, or the campsites that I would get to on the specific day. And I also, I had them all start on the same day, because there's the variable of the pace, but then there's also the variable of the start day, right? If you're doing another trail before that. So if you're just doing only the GDT, then you don't have to worry about the start day, because you know that you're going to start on this day. You're going to show up and start. But because I had another trail to hike before then, I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick a specific day to start the GDT. And that was one of my biggest stressors, probably, in terms of logistics, was I don't want to be too late that I am then getting into snow risk in Canada, but I also don't want to be so early that I don't have enough time to do the CDT properly. So that was hard. And then that required me like figuring out everything on the CDT and how fast I thought I could do each section, which is, yeah, such a crapshoot. Lottery 8 months in advance, so I have to make it there on time. I booked 3 different itineraries at different paces just in case. This year, I rethought all of my gear so I can be more efficient and hike more miles in a day, because I need to average more than 30 miles. I packed and repacked my backpack so many times just because it was a new backpack for me, and I wanted to really get a feel for like where everything was. It's like living in a new house, you need to like know where everything is. This is my map here. The day, including time spent in town. I'm racing the seasons between. I don't think that it ended up being exactly over 30 miles a day, but I was generally trying to go for like low 30s on most of the days that didn't involve like some sort of difficult terrain or something like that. Yeah. The snow melts and when it starts again. My pack's base weight is 8.6 pounds, and with 3.5 days of food and 2.5 liters of water, it's 21 pounds. That's all for now. Bye. I think I ended up sticking to that generally, but yeah, wow, you can really see I lost weight on this trail. That's crazy. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, yeah, maybe that's all I had to say on this hike. But yeah, I packed my backpack and just walked everywhere with like 20 pounds on my back a lot in the months, weeks leading up to the trail. Hi. Okay, that is the hike prep video.